Hey, I thought we would work on the hips a little bit today. I think it's pretty common for people to have a little bit of trouble with their hips. It's, a commonplace SI joint hip issues. And a lot of times our pelvis, the two sides of our pelvis can have some torsion where one side kind of tips forward and the other side tips back, or one side lifts up and the other side lifts down, or a combination thereof of various things. And it can be pretty common to have some asymmetry in our pelvis. And a lot of our yoga practice is asymmetrical. A lot of the standing poses, and all the poses, we do different things with the two sides of our pelvis. So today we're going to kind of vacillate back and forth between having some asymmetry and some symmetry. And every time we come back into symmetry, whether it's something that we do all the time, like dog pose, or something more specific that we'll do today for the pelvis, try to get a sense of what is your pelvis doing. So a lot of times we have kind of unconscious patterning going on. Even the way we sit, we can have like we tuck one foot under, or we cross our legs and one leg's always on top, or when we sit cross-legged, we always sit the exact same way, or when we take stairs, we always take the same leg up or leg down first. So we develop dominance patterns, and then of course throw in a few decades and throw in a few injuries and throw in, maybe not a perfectly straight spine or something like that. And we can start to have more challenges. So today we're going to work a little bit with trying to just get to know our pelvis and hopefully soothe any challenges you have, and then build a little strength as well. So let's sit up straight and tall and take a moment to close your eyes and come in to a state of ease. So as you drop your awareness into the body, start with just a bit of gratitude. You can just start thinking about what you're grateful for. Have a heart-centered feeling about that, an open heart. Kind of receive your blessings and offer your gratitude. Move into the body, see what the breath is feeling like today. Do you have a nice even flow of your breath, or is your flow a little tricky today? Just see what's feeling good. See if you can open up your pathways of breathing as best as you can. Melt through your neck and your shoulders. Just try to find any little nooks and crannies that are holding tension, and soften as best as you can. Right, so bring your hands, place your palms together at your heart and bow into your practice. Offer an intention. And then let's release the hands and find our way onto our mat. Okay. So as you settle onto the ground with your body, see what it feels like to have that state of balance here. We're going to start with our feet on the ground instead of our legs straight, and just start to pay attention and notice what is happening in your alignment right now. Try not to assume that it's a bad thing that you find some asymmetry. We're just trying to explore and get to know and be aware of patterns in our body. So, do you feel like you have more weight in your left or right side of your pelvis? Do you feel, even if you can't sense a weight differential, does the way your sacrum lay on the ground feel different on the left side of your sacrum versus the right side of your sacrum. If you can feel into the sacroiliac joints, do they feel different left and right? And even your legs, maybe you took care to plant your feet very symmetrically. Maybe you just kind of bent your knees, put your feet on the ground, and didn't really pay too much attention where your feet are. So notice, don't move anything, just notice where your feet are in space. And if your legs feel different, left and right, do you have a sense that one femur bone is dropped deeper into the hip joint than the other? Can you sense anything at all? So you don't have to borrow your attention too deeply, but just see if you can have that awareness of what your body feels like. We're usually not very symmetrical, so don't worry if you find asymmetry. This is normal, and also if you feel pretty symmetrical, then that's great too. So don't judge what you're experiencing, just sense. All right, now we're going to stretch our arms overhead. Keep your feet on the ground. Stretch everything. Oh, maybe you want to do a little yawn like I just did. Just see what feels good. And then release your arms back. Take your feet just a bit wider than your hips now, maybe to the edges of your mat, maybe not that far, you decide. And we're going to windshield wiper our knees left and right. Just feel into what it feels like to move the hips and the legs from one side to the other. Do you have a desire to turn your head in opposition? And if you do, that's great. Just follow your instincts. And just notice what the sides of your hips feel. Where are you feeling this? Do you have a sensation on the side of your waist or in the front of your pelvis at all? And then we're going to drop down a little deeper into a twist. So drop the knees. You might need a block for this. Drop the knees over to the left. You can always stick a block underneath your legs if you need some support. And we're going to pick up our left foot and put it to the outside of the right knee. So nestle a block underneath the inside of your right knee or the outside of your left knee if you need it. And just feel into the stretch across the side of your waist, the side of your hip. Just feel into what's there. And then come back up. Put your left foot down, little tiny rocks, left and right, little tiny rocks, just kind of letting your pelvis kind of fall back into neutral. And then when you're ready, drop your knees over to the right, pick up your right foot and put it on the outside of the left knee. You can support with a block underneath either knee if you feel like you need it. Just notice the stretch on this side. And how is this different than what you felt on the other side? Or is it different? Maybe it feels the same. Take some beautiful breaths here. Let's inhale. And exhale. All right, and then come back up and put your foot down onto the ground and feel that sense of neutrality. All right, bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. And then feel free to do a little circling with your knees like we always do, just warming up your back and your SI joints. Feel free to go the other direction. Feel free to take your knees offline if you want and just allow your pelvis to move how it wants to move. Maybe you find on your knees moving away from the midline, so you stretch your legs wide open and then bring them back. Just find what's available. Just get to know the range of motion in your pelvis. Okay, this is a pretty big pose for the beginning. So happy baby pose. Grab onto your feet or behind your knees if your feet are too far. And feel free to rock a little bit left and right. Just opening up the back side of the pelvis, opening up the low back a bit. Breathing deeply, feeling that deep compression in the hip joints. And then relax the legs. Stretch open to a star. Spread your limbs out. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. You can feel free to roll your ankles around and stretch open your fingers, whatever feels nice. And then knees into the chest. Pick up your head, all your breath out. Inhale again, spread your limbs wide. Exhale.
Draw it in. One more time. Big open space. Exhale. Snug up space. All right, release the head down onto the ground. Okay, come into right thigh, cross it over your left thigh and draw the knees to the chest. I'm just opening up the muscles in the backside of our pelvis a little bit. Feel, if you can't reach your knees, you can always grab a strap and put it around your knees, whatever feels nice. And then bring your legs straight up in the air. Open your legs out like the letter Y. Find your breath. And then we're going to bring our legs back. Left thigh over right thigh. Draw knees in toward chest. Feel the left hip stretch a bit. Find the length of the spine. Dip the tip of your tailbone down toward the ground and take your sit bones nice and wide. All right, and then release the legs. Stretch out to a star one more time. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Roll around in your ankles. Knees into chest. And then come over onto your side and come up onto all fours. All right, let's start moving through some cat-cows. So we're arching and rounding the back, taking your time to move your vertebrae around, see what feels good this morning. Or maybe it's this afternoon for you. Breathing deeply. And then move things around, circling your pelvis, circling your shoulders. Find any movement that feels really nice. Okay, so try to really get your pelvis to wake up. So sometimes I imagine that the tip of your tailbone is a paintbrush. Draw a big circle on the wall behind you. So you're doing some pelvic swirls or circles. Okay, and make sure you go both directions. Notice if you always go the same direction, like if you hula hoop, can you hula hoop in both directions? Let's try to have a sense of balance through our pelvis. Wag your tail now. And then drop back into child's pose. Take your arms out in front of you, relax your head. Maybe rock down into one side and then the other, opening up your shoulders. And then release that and walk your hands over to one side, feeling that sense of space and length through your rib cage. A deep breath in and then exhale. Other side, stretch open the ribs again. Feel into that length and space. All right, coming back to center, up onto all fours. Curl the toes under, stretch back to child's pose. Wake up the bottom of your feet. And then back up onto all fours. Reach the left arm, lifting it high to the sky. Exhale and slide that shoulder down. Enjoy the rib cage opening. Drop your eyes, your gaze toward the ground. A deep breath in and a deep exhale. All right, let's go ahead and lift that arm back up. Hand down onto the ground. Second side arm up. Exhale, slide that arm through. Gaze toward the ground again, breathing well. An inhale and an exhale. All right, let's go ahead and find our way out. Arm up in the air. All right, release your hand down. I'm going to show you this from the side. Stretch your right leg back behind you. Curl your toe under and stretch your calf a bit. And then we're going to bring your knee up, cross it over, and stretch back. Inhale, knee forward, stretch your leg back, calf open. Inhale, right knee over left, dropping back. Knee up, stretch back again. Right foot on the ground, or right knee on the ground, left foot on the ground. Stretch your calf. Open up your breath. Inhale or exhale, whatever feels good. Left thigh over right, stretch back. Bring the knee up. Heel stretches. Curl the toes under. Turn this right up into a dog pose. Now, when you get into dog pose, see what it feels like to have that sense of movement. So feel free to move your left and move your right and find that sense of opening between the two sides. You can pedal your feet, maybe lift one here, heel or knee high, hip high, and drop the other knee in. So just find whatever kind of movement is nice, but whatever you do on one side, try to do it on the other side so that you have, even though asymmetrical movement, we're having symmetrical engagement. All right, so heart lifting to the spot, to the sky, toward the pelvis. Feel the length of the body, bend the knees, tip the pelvis, the tailbone lifts up. All right, and then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Relax your head. Halfway lift, the spine is growing. Exhale and melt again. Let's try one more time. Halfway lift. Open up the backs of your legs. Exhale and melt. Rising all the way up so you can drop your seat and then lift your chest. And bring your arms all the way up to the sky. Open up, lean back a little bit if it feels good. Feel your chest expand, spread open your wings. And then release your arms. Give them a good shake. Okay, just shake them out. Find your breathing. All right. Inhale, lifting your arms one more time, a cactus, and exhale and a fold forward. Halfway lift, spine gets longer. Melt again. Let's step our left foot back, right foot comes forward, lunging here, opening up the spine. Enjoy the breath. Let's start moving the body, bending and straightening the front knee, moving with the feeling of breathing. All right, so coming into a lunge, feel that your one hip is deeply flexed and the other is deeply extended. And as you rise up, start to get to know, how is that back leg? You know, when you open up the hip flexors of that back leg, is it more comfortable if you bend your knee a little bit? Does it help your low back stay neutral? So a lot of times we can overarch the back. So let's make sure we're staying stable. Breathe into wherever you're placing the arms. Ground your body. Enjoy the open heart, the open hip flexors. Press your feet into the ground to give you that sense of support. And then release your hands down onto the ground and bring the knee down as well. Open the chest, hands come up on blocks, whatever height you want. Feel the hip flexor of that back leg open. And then relax and stretch back to child's pose. And let that hip flexor that just was opening in your left leg soften. All right, then let's come back to the second side. Start on your knee. Feel a big open stretch in the hip flexor of that back leg, your right leg, open through your chest. Notice if you're collapsed in the spine. See if you can hug into the midline with your legs. Press your front foot into the ground. Feel that support. And then curl the toe under and start to bend and straighten the knee. How is your breath? Enjoy waking up the body, getting to know how your body is feeling today. Feel the hamstrings open up. I guess they're kind of like hip strings, right? All right, let's go ahead and ground. Find your lunge. When you rise up, perhaps you want to put your hands on your hips for a moment so you really can sense, where is my pelvis in space? Do I tend to have one hip forward? Do I tend to have one hip hiked up or out? Can I find that balance between left and right sides of my pelvis? And then notice the low back. Are you very arched? If so, try bending your back knee a little bit till you find that place of stability in the pelvis.
Lift your arms when you're ready. Ground into your legs. Press your foot into the floor. Find the breath. Open up wherever your body can. Enjoy the posture. What's the gift in this? What's the blessing that this pose gives? Your sense of breathing, the sense of body, feeling, your heart, your mind. Relax your hands down, back to dog pose, long spine, deep breaths. Here we are back into symmetry. See what it feels like now that we've done a couple of asymmetrical things to find that sense of balance from your feet all the way to your pelvis. Now hug your feet down onto the ground and then drag your feet apart from each other to light up some more musculature that support the pelvis. These are your gluteus medius and minimus, your TFL. There's a lot of muscles that engage here. And relax that. Come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady. Integrate into the center. Find your breath. Find our way down to the ground. Roll the shoulders a few times. Lift up into a cobra pose. Enjoy the chest opening. Exhale. And melt back down. Let's try again. Rising up on in-breath. And exhale. Lowering on your out-breath. Come to lie down on your right side. Okay, now as you do this, we're going to start with a little bit of clamshells just to wake up some of those pelvic muscles on the back side of your pelvis. So you can always support a block underneath your head or a blanket if you need. Your hips are bent, your knees are bent. Okay, you don't have to have your knees high up. They can be, in line with your hips or a little less than that. Okay, I think we've all done clamshells before. So we want to lift the left leg up. Now try not to rock your body. So we want to keep the pelvis and the shoulders stacked, left over right. And we're only opening the knees. So the feet stay together, the pelvis stays stable, the shoulders stay stacked. We're opening and closing. Now, one of the most important things you can do here is breathe. So it's so common when we try to isolate movements in the body that we forget that we're supposed to be fluid with our breath. So make sure that you are breathing well. What does this feel like? So how, what's supporting you in your pelvis? Can you feel all those tiny little muscles that are so important? All right, now imagine for this last one, rest your knees for a moment. Imagine for this last one, you have a hand against your knee resisting you. So you're moving against resistance, imaginary resistance on the way open. And then also some imaginary resistance on the way closed. Once you're there, just rest for a moment. Let your body relax. Breathing deeply. You do strengthening for the one side of your low back now. Bring your hand up over to the top of your head. Our knees are going to stay on the ground. We're going to lift our feet and our chest on the exhale, and on the inhale, come back down. So remember, our knees stay down. Let's try one more. And then relax. Come onto your back, bring your knees to your chest. Feel free to rock a little bit, left and right. We're going to come over onto our left side and do the same postures here on our left. So stack your pelvis, stack your shoulders so you're not leaning forward or leaning back. We're going to start with the clamshells. Make sure you are breathing. Okay. So as we open and close, where do you want to inhale? Where do you want to exhale? I like to keep my hand on my hip so that, or on the side of my pelvis so I can feel
whether I'm rocking my torso or my pelvis back and forth, try to keep things pretty neutral. Now you can press your opposite leg into the ground just a little bit to help you stabilize. And try not to do this very absently and quickly. Have some sense of intention and awareness. Go slow. Stay with your breathing. Rest for a moment. We'll do one more. And just feel all the aliveness of some of these unusual muscles that we don't always sense in our body. And we're going to do this with imaginary resistance. So as you lift your knee, imagine there's pressure against your knee. So it's hard, hard, hard to lift it. And same as you lower it, imagine that there's resistance between your thighs as you lower your leg down. Did you have a sense that you were stronger or less strong on one side? It's okay if you felt didn't notice that, and just pay attention, subtle little shifts. Let's bring our hand to the top of our head, and we're going to lift our feet and our chest. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, lift your feet and chest up. Inhale to come back down. All right. Relax and come onto your back. A nice neutral pelvis. Okay. All right, so feet down onto the ground flat. Notice if there's some fatigue in the muscles in your glutes. That's good. We're going to move through some rolling bridges. So have a sense that your feet are even to each other. Okay. We're going to lift the pelvis up. And then we're going to lower the pelvis down. The final one that we do will stay, but for now we're going to do a little moving. Now notice the next time you lift your pelvis, are you even weighted in your feet? Does your pelvis lift at the same time, or does one tend to lift faster than the one side faster than the other? And same on the way down. Do you tend to lower faster with one side versus the other? One more time. Okay, now this last one, we're going to stay. So come up into your full bridge, maybe climb onto the tops of your shoulders. You're going to ground your feet, lift your pelvis, feel your neck, stay in a neutral place. You can interlace your hands underneath you or just have arms down at your sides. Press the four corners of your feet. Notice if the two sides of your pelvis feel the same or different. Go ahead and lower, try to lower evenly down to the ground. Relax for a moment, windshield wiper your knees, moving left, moving right. Breathing well. Okay, we're going to do one last round of this before another hold. And this time I want you to purposely lift. We're going to lift your right hip up first and then follow with your left. And then we're going to drop down through our right first and follow with your left. Up with your right, follow with your left. Down with your right, follow with your left. One more time, up with the right, follow with the left, down with the right, follow with the left. Relax on the ground. Now we're going to do the opposite direction, up with the left, follow with the right, down with the left, follow with the right, up with the left, follow with the right, down with the left, follow with the right. Last time, up with the left, Follow with the right. Down with the left. Follow with the right. Relax. Deep breath. One last time, a full bridge pose. You can interlace your arms underneath you if you want, or have your arms just down on the ground. Find the open chest, the soft neck, the grounded feet. Fill up your breath. Giving this through your pelvis as best as you can. Lower yourself down to the ground. All right, and then let's go to lie down on our right side again. So I know we're spending a lot of time on the ground. We are going to do some standing poses shortly. Okay, so we're going to find the sense of being straight, where we have a straight line in our body. Our whole body's on a balance beam or a tightrope or a slack line. We're going to lift the left arm up in the air. Find your breath, and we're going to lift the left leg straight up in the air. Okay, now you just go as far as you want. I'm hitting a piece of furniture, so I can't go higher than that. Well, I guess I could if I move my legs. So just find where you want to be. All right, so breathing well, press your leg into the ground as much as you're lifting the leg up in the air. And then relax and melt. And we're going to come on to the left side, so roll over onto your left. Same posture here. Okay, stack up your two sides, so your shoulders over shoulder, your hip over hip. We're going to lift that arm. Now, of course, if you feel a little trouble with balance, just put your hand on the ground in front of you to support you, and then lift your leg up. So you don't have to add the balance challenge to it if you don't want to. All right, so find that stacking of hips and shoulders. Press the leg into the ground as much as you're lifting the leg in the air. Keep your neck as soft and relaxed as you can. Engage your core. The breath is here. Relax. Okay, let's roll over onto your belly. Come up onto all fours. Move around through your spine. Breathing well. Up to dog pose when you're ready. Find that length. Stretch into space. Breathing deeply. Walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Relax your hamstrings. Let things open. Inhale for a halfway lift. Spine gets long. Melt and fold. Rising all the way up. Big breath. Hands down to the center of the body. All right, so we're going to take our feet wide apart on the mat. Okay, turn your right foot out, left foot back. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, Virabhadrasana. We're moving. Inhale, arms up. One last time. We'll stay here. And of course, you can put your arms wherever feels best to your body. Try not to push this hip forward. Take the hip back. Feel the ground. Press your feet into it. See if with your front foot, with your right foot, take your toes and isometrically drag them to the right. Your heel, drag to the left. See if you can light up a lot of those muscles in the hip. Breathing well. Rounding through your legs. Reverse your warrior. Open up through your side. Straighten your leg for a moment and then return to a bent knee for Parsva Konasana. Open your side body. Breathing well. Shoulders away from the ears. Rounding through your legs. All right, and then let's come back up. Turn your feet straight for a moment. Heel toe your feet in. And we're going to come down to a squat. Now notice the difference between the two sides, but find that sense of symmetry if you can between the effort of the two legs. Okay, and then come back up. Take your legs wide apart again. And let's move with some breath. Inhale. Arms coming up to the sky.
Exhale, Virabhadrasana. Straighten the arms and legs. Bending into the pose. Last time, we'll stay now. Ground yourself, soft shoulders. Same thing with your left foot. See if you can drag your toes a little bit to the left, your heel a little bit to the right. So you have a little bit of lighting up in some underbelly muscles of the posture. If your pelvis is turned, which is okay, make sure your torso follows. So if your pelvis is turned, try not to come back straight. Let your torso be an extension of what's happening in your pelvis. Keep the top of your back thigh moving back. Just try not to push it and lean it forward. Support yourself on your feet. Ground down, lift through the crown. Finding breath. When you're ready, reverse your warrior. Open up through your rib cage. Straighten your leg for a moment. And then find Ardha Konasana. Elbow on your knee or hand on block. Watch this back hip. Sometimes it wants to press forward. Take the thigh bone back. Let the pelvis turn a little bit toward your front leg so we're not necessarily always so open. Okay, so find what feels stable and good for your pelvis. Grounding through the feet, opening up through the side body. Use some of those muscles that are a little not the big ones. It's not just your quads. It's not just your hamstrings. Find those smaller muscles. All right, rise up. Turn your feet straight. Wide legs. Bring your hands down onto blocks or the ground, whatever feels good. Thigh bones back, shin bones a little bit forward. Breathing well. Come back up, hands on blocks or the ground, and heel toe your feet in. Okay, face the front of your mat. Okay, just fold in Uttanasana for a moment. And then allow yourself to rise back up. So as we come into this posture, just feel that your legs start to soften, that the standing poses release. We're going to come into something symmetrical after doing asymmetry. Squat down like a chair. You might even want to stick a block between your thighs. We're going to come kind of low in this posture and put your hands on the outside of the knees. Pull your feet apart from each other. Press your knees into your hands into your knees. And just notice when you pull your feet apart from each other, do you have one side of the pelvis that's stronger than the other? Full breaths here. All right, standing on up, fold forward, keep that block. Inner thighs rolling back, halfway lift. And then exhale and melt. Step back if you want, keep the block. You don't have to, but if you want to keep the block, dog pose. Inner thighs rolling back. Okay, so isometrically drag your feet apart, but gently hug the block. Symmetry in the pelvis. Come forward into a plank. Find that sense of balance. Full breaths, full exhales. Okay, you can take the block out of there now. Come to lie down on your belly. Put your hands underneath your forehead. Curl your toes under, lift your thighs up and take them wider. Take a deep breath in. Let's turn our toes out. For the first one, lift up maybe your chest, maybe not, but definitely your legs. And then exhale and relax. This time we're going to do it with our toes pointing straight down. Wide legs. Lift your legs. Hug onto your sacrum with your muscles. Feel that you're setting the sacrum after some asymmetry. And then exhale and melt. Bring your legs closer. Windshield wiper your knees left and right. Full breaths here. Okay, find your way up onto all fours. Feel your spine move about. And then rest and soften into child's pose. Let your hips relax. Might even feel good to have your knees together instead of apart. You decide, whatever feels good. And we're gonna come into Vasisthasana. Now, I'm gonna do this with my knee on the ground, but if you wanna do it with your knee off the ground, that's great, whatever is your choice. So right side, right hand, right knee, left foot. You can also, just stack your feet and be on 2 feet. I'm gonna support my shoulder a little bit more than that. Okay, open the chest, bring the arm in the air, and we're gonna lift your leg up. So we're gonna do this twice. This time, everybody put your foot back down. I forgot to say what to do with your bottom leg. So this bottom leg, the first time we do this, if you're choosing to do it with knee down, you're gonna have your shin perpendicular to the rest of your body. And then the second time, we're gonna take our shin parallel. So we're gonna start with our shin this way, and then the second time, we're gonna move our shin this way. All right, so open up the breath, open up the chest, lift the arm and the leg in the air. Find your breathing. Your foot might just be an inch off the floor, or it might be a foot off the floor. Just see what feels good. And then relax and come down onto all fours. Swish your spine about. We're gonna go to the other side. Left hand, left knee, right foot lined up. Shoulders are away from the ears. Shin is perpendicular to the rest of your body. When you're ready, inhale and lift your leg up in the air. Find your breath. Now I'm kind of stuck with my furniture, but hopefully you have a good place to be doing this. Shoulders away from the ears, breathing well. And then relax and melt onto all fours. Swish your spine about. This next time, we're going to take our shin parallel to the rest of the body. This is a little bit more precarious balance. So if you need to, you can take your right hand over to the right more, so that you have just a little bit less of a, being on a slack line. Take a deep breath in, inhale, exhale. I don't care where you lift, but lift. So this leg in the air, see what it feels like to lift and extend, to stretch through the heel. Press your shin into the ground. Open up the pelvis. Stack shoulders, stack hips, as best as you can. How's the breath? Tail and the crown are long away from each other. Shoulder blades down the back. And then relax. All fours, swish your spine. You can even pick up your feet and rock your feet left, right, whatever feels really good. And then we're gonna come to the second side. Left arm, left shin, right foot lined up. If you need more balance, take your left hand to the left more so that you have a sense of stability. When you're ready, lift that arm in the air, lift your leg in the air. Open chest. Breathing, stack your hips, shoulders away from the ears, shoulder blades firm. Open across your sternum to your hands. The crown, the tail, and the foot all line are a big long line. Use your core, use your hips. Press your shin. And then relax. And come down to child's pose. Maybe put your knees together if that feels comfy. So you're just really softening. Everything's kind of releasing, like the rubber bands are just softening back now. Take some deep breaths while you're here. Come up onto all fours. And then find your way to dog pose. Stretch through your feet. Find that sense of symmetry one more time. Perhaps you want to pull your feet apart to see what kind of stabilizing forces you can access. If nothing else, just feel the symmetry of this posture. The hands balanced, the feet balanced. All right, now walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana, relax your head, shimmy your hips, shimmy your shoulders, relax your neck. Inhale for a halfway lift, and then melt again. Tap your seat, rise up, chest big and broad, and bring your hands down to your heart. Pause here for a moment, let's just enjoy our standing on 2 legs. Big breaths. And then relax your hands down. Ardha Chandrasana. half moon pose. Grab your block. Right foot comes forward. You can start in triangle pose or Parsvasana, however you want to be. We're going to climb up onto, now when you climb up onto your right foot, try not to let your right foot turn in or out. Keep it neutral as best as you can. You can always do this pose against a wall if the balance is a little hard for you, or you can take the right hand a little off to the right on a block. Lift the leg, engage your core. All the things we felt in Vasisthasana, find them here. Crown, tail, heel long. Chest reaching to your hands. Shoulder blades on the back. The core is engaged. The hips are engaged. We're keeping that knee that we're standing on soft and neutral. A giant step out the way you came in, and let's find our way to the second side. So just notice maybe you have a little more stability from all that waking up of those muscles that we've done to prepare for this pose. So feel free to come into this pose. You can go against a wall, you can put your foot against a wall, you can have however the level of support that you need. Make sure your left foot stays straight and doesn't turn out. Come on up into the posture when you're ready. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Okay. Now, if you feel wobbly, the worst thing that's going to come down is you're going to put your foot down. So not to worry. Don't worry about your balance. Try to detach from results and feel into the work of the posture and the awareness of how your body feels. All the things, crown, tail to heel, the softness of the knee, the yielding into the earth with your foot, the openness across your hip and chest, the work in your core and your hip in the air. How is your breath? Try and step back out the way we came. Turn back to a neutral stance. Tadasana, 2 feet on the ground. Take a deep breath. And now up onto your toes. Lift your arms. Exhale and float forward. Relax your pelvis. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt. Uttanasana. Pull your feet apart. Find that sense of symmetry again. Pull your feet apart. And then relax that. Melt. Let's come down onto the ground. The last asymmetrical pelvic pose we'll do is either pigeon pose or reverse pigeon pose. So decide whether you want to be on your front or your back. We'll start with our right leg. So if you're on your back, right foot on left knee, grab onto the back of your left thigh and bring your knees toward your chest. If you're in pigeon pose, support in any way that your body needs. Check back with your leg in the behind you. Make sure your kneecap's on the ground, your thigh is facing down instead of turned out. Lengthen through your spine. The pelvis is square. If it's not square, if you feel like you're leaning into the one side, put more support underneath you. If you still feel that happening, flip over onto your back. All right, so check in with your joints, make sure everything's okay. Support in any way you need. So you can try bringing your heel closer to your pubic bone or further out to adjust the angles for your knee and hip. If you're on your back, tip your tailbone toward the ground and widen your sit bones. Feel the heaviness of your head. If you're in pigeon, relax your head on a block or hands. Come on up. Change sides. Maybe you're doing pigeon pose on one side, but then on the other side, you're like, nope, my knee or hip don't like that. So you can always make a different choice, side to side. Remember, we are very often not symmetrical in the way we move our bodies. So it's no wonder that one side might feel a little more snug than the other. Everybody's got some histories of injuries and traumas in their body. So pay attention to how that manifests in your hip flexibility. Breathing well, settle your body, move into your breath. So you're ready. Let's find our way out of the posture and come to lie down on your back, almost to Shavasana. Let's take a low block. If you feel strongly about having it higher, that's fine. But if you like it to be low, just a nice low block underneath your pelvis. So you can experiment, try to do symmetry now. So you can have two legs stretching straight on the ground, heels down for a moment if that's comfortable on your body. You can keep your feet planted, which is the most neutral and soothing. You can also bring your knees toward your chest and have a little traction in your spine. So just find something to do with your legs that you want. You can even have your legs straight up in the air for leg up the wall without a wall. But whatever you're doing, keep the legs moving symmetrically. So find whichever of those choices you want, or combination of choices that you want, and then let yourself breathe. Let's all find our way to our feet on the ground for the last few breaths of this. Relax your shoulders. Breathe into your belly. Breathe into your pelvis. Come off of the block. And you decide what the last thing you want to do before Shavasana is. It could be a moment of Supta Baddha Konasana. It could be a happy baby pose. It could be something asymmetrical like a twist. So just find what your body is asking for. Breathe for a few breaths wherever you are. As you feel ready, you can come to Shavasana. If you want to have some support underneath your knees, go ahead and take support under your knees. Same with under your head. Perhaps you'd rather be in child's pose for Shavasana, and that's great too. So anything, you can put your calves up on a chair, whatever feels nice to your body, your mind right now. Allow your pelvis to melt into its symmetry.
breathing. Nothing for a moment. Try not to move just yet, but just be aware of your resting. Any movement that feels good, you can wiggle your toes, roll around your wrists, open, close fists, roll your ankles, turn your head, whatever feels good. Actually, finding your way onto your side and coming to sit. Hands together at your heart. Let's enjoy the fruits of our practice. How do you feel? Offer your energy outward. Send your loving care to another. Namaste. All right, blessings on the day, everyone. I hope you have a beautiful one.